Howdy, folks, and welcome back. Hope you're all blessed and doing okay out there. Well, for today's video, I present to you the Lionel Legend, an American icon. And yes, there's a price tag on there. I could not get it off, but I did not pay that much for the book. I think I paid about $5 at the train shop, but that's okay. So this book, right here, talks about the Lionel Train Company, and there's the man himself, Josh Lionel Cowan. Anyway, oh, one second. Need to get my water so I can stay hydrated. My mouth's been drying out a bit lately, y'all. Anyway, let's take a look and see what this one has to offer. Camera's kind of sideways there. History of Lionel has been covered several times by several people. This book's just going to focus on, I guess, a bit of their history too. There have been a few programs and books written about Lionel's history as well. There's the table of contents of what you're going to see. An American Legend, Lionel. Lionel's been around for over 100 years now. Introduction. This talks about their history and how they got started. And if it wasn't for Joshua Lionel Cowan, we wouldn't have all the electric trains we have today by different companies, along with the different sizes of trains too. There's a couple of layouts there, as y'all can see. Very nice looking. It's amazing how much detail can go into these layouts, whether they're big or small. Everybody has their own expertise in the hobby when it comes to building this stuff. A positive spin. It was a good company when Lionel owned it. He used his middle name for the company. There are some of the early advertisements and catalogs there, as y'all can see, for when they got started. Lionel's Library. Not only have they produced tons of trains, they've also written several books about, well, trains themselves, price guides, track, and everything else. Lionel's magazines. They had a magazine for a long time. I think they still do. I think it's called Lone Star Line or something like that. I forget. I'll have to look. There's some more of the books right there too they've made. These magazines were quite something. Model Builder taught you about trains, real and small. Inside Track, that's another one of their magazines right there. Lionel's Catalog Dreams. The Lionel catalog was an amazing thing. Everybody kept them. I got quite a collection myself. Ensuring Lionel's quality. Well, they kind of do still. Although it's sad to me that they're made in China and not the US anymore. Template trains, then and now. So Lionel started making template trains before World War II, I think. And they made them for a number of years. Hear the whistle blow. Template was a beautiful toy train. Then we got the scale stuff like this here. And yes, he's had whistles in the tender. Now they have electronic whistles. Well, recordings, I should say. Lionel train sets. Some of their best-known sets were the Super Chief set, the 50th anniversary set, the Blue Comet, and the State set. Standard gauge. So the biggest gauge made so far in toy trains is standard gauge, but Lionel has also made G gauge, O gauge, and HO gauge. They have not made tin plate or standard gauge in ages. And to my knowledge, the only standard gauge scale engine they made was the Hiawatha's F7 Hudson. I'm not sure if this counts, but since they bought American Flyer, they also make S-gauge. There's some more of their beautiful template trains they made. Pardon me. The Clockwork train. The Clockwork trains were pretty popular and cheap. You wound them up, and they went around the track a couple of times before you had to wind them up again. Lionel's early entry-level sets. The sets were simple back then, not as complex as they are now. Came with the usual stuff, track, transformer, and train. Now we have premium sets that just have a train in them. Early tin plate locomotives. Pardon me, guys. I'm going to grab me a cough drop. So here's one of the early steam engines. There's the torpedo from the Pennsylvania Railroad. A very beautiful engine altogether. The Blue Comet. The Blue Comet is one of the best trains ever made, real or toy. The real Blue Comet ran for the Central New Jersey Railroad, carrying people to summer events. Lionel made theirs, and looks just as good. The tin plate passenger cars. Now these were quite a thing to see. They were beautiful, and some even had opening roofs on them so you could see inside. Just as detailed and intricate as today's HO trains are. Tin plate freight cars. These looked pretty cool, and they were just as charming as the passenger cars. Searchlight cars. These were some of Lionel's fun accessories. Some of the lights would spin or stay in one place. This one had an external light for the workers to use. Wrecking cranes. Well, if your train comes off the tracks, send a crane to pick it up and put it back on. Lionel has made a variety of cranes over the years, both in standard gauge and O gauge. And they are fun to play with. Tin plate cabooses, the last car on the train. Well, it used to be. These are pretty cool. Lionel Power Station. This was a popular must-have accessory for any kid on their layout. Pretty cool. It's based on a real design. Oh, power stations. The Metropolitan Stations. Or station. The only one I recognize is this, the Tariff Station. That was a beautiful looking station right there, I thought. Station platforms. A variety have been made over the years again. And well, if you're going to pick up and deliver passengers, you have to have a station and a platform. The Hellgate Bridge. This right here is Lionel's best-selling bridge of all time. It's been made for O gauge, standard gauge, and even Brio made one. Or Lionel made one for Brio, one of the two. Still pretty cool. Tin plate bridges and tunnels. Some of these are hard to find, some are not, but they look great. Yeah, these were just toys. Nobody cared about the value they would bring many years later. Stop that train! Signals, which are used on the railroads to tell the engineers and conductors when to stop and when to go. Lionel's track. Over the years, Lionel has made a variety of train tracks, template, fast track, and a few others, but their template is their best known. They don't make it anymore, so they say, but Menards does. Standard gauge layouts. Probably the best person to see who has standard gauge, well, there's a few. There was John Potter, and there was Chuck Brasher. Boats, airplanes, and automobiles. So Lionel tried to branch out and make non-railroad items, and let's just say they did not catch on very well, but they tried. The pre-war boom. So before the war, homes were big, so trains were big. The streamlined future. Lionel made one of the coolest trains ever, the M10,000. That's what that is right there. This was an experimental train for the Union Pacific that had new technology in it and weighed about 18 tons, very lightweight for a passenger train. The streamlined Hiawatha. Lionel beat its competitors when they made this model back in the 1940s. A beautiful train nonetheless. The Zephyr. Burlington Route had quite a few of these. There was also the Mark Twain Zephyr and the Flying Yankee. One of my favorite trains too. The Automatic Gateman. A fun accessory. Train goes by, the man comes out, the train leaves, he goes back in. There's even this guy sitting here by the sign there with the flag. The O-scale Hudson locomotive. Lionel defined the odds when they made this engine in 1937, despite the toy train trend. The rivets on the tender were even going to equal those of the real-life Hudson. When the modeler counted the rivets on the tender, he realized they were 3 short. Lionel insisted on a recount. It turns out the modeler was right. I forget the number, but Lionel refused to make even a single change to his masterpiece. And you know, I agree. It looks just fine the way it is. A beautiful locomotive nonetheless. Remote control coupling. They were the first to do it. Push a button on your remote, train goes over a magnet, and the cars uncouple. It was made for basically template trains, but also scale cars as well. And you can do it in HO too. Lionel's small scale. So they made 00 and HO. The HO gauge trains were here and there, unfortunately. They were too late with the O gauge HO, but they did try. And they tried again later on. They tried in the early 2000s, and now they're trying again in the 2020s. And let's just say these trains we're making today in HO are garbage. Action freight cars. A variety of cars have been made that could dump loads, pick up loads, or deliver loads. So the best ones include the coal loader, the coal dump, and the milk car. Lionel's action accessories. Well, there's the coal elevator. There's the coal ramp where you dump the coal from the top into a car on the bottom. That one right there was made to load the car. Pretty cool. You would dump the coal into a bin. It would go up, drop the coal on the top, and then you would load into the gondola car. Why can't I talk? I don't know. There's the coal loader. And there's another one of those elevators too. Well, it has a name, but I forget. Sorry guys, I'm a tad off tonight. The magnetic cranes. These were loads of fun to play with back then. You could pick up the load and move it to somewhere else in the layout. They had stationary cranes and cranes like this that could move on their own. Some even came with scrap metal. Lionel's Bascule Bridge. That's the Bascule Bridge that goes up and down. This is the lift bridge. Both wonderful accessories, but this one I like better because it has a sound to it. A bell rings, a diesel horn blows, and it goes up and comes back down. Lionel's Lumber Industry. Quite a few accessories were made. There's one right here where you dump the logs on the back of the loader and loads them from the front. This is the lumber loader, and that's the sawmill. They would go in as logs and come out as boards. Pretty cool. Action log cars. Now, just like before, you can dump the logs in. They go up this conveyor belt here onto this car, or they're dumped here and turned into boards. The automobile cars. Well, this one would haul chassis. This one will haul cars. I call them Olarex, though. I can look over that page finally. My hand's kind of getting cramped. O-scale freight cars. 4.0 layouts from the 1940s. There you go. So last started making scale cars after the war, and they made a couple of them. But today they make mostly scale, it looks like. Yeah, these are the layouts from the 1940s. Just so nicely done, I must say. The post-war boom. After the war, trains were scale and a bit smaller because the homes were starting to shrink over the years too. That's when O-gauge was implemented, for the most part. Lionel's post-war surprises. There's the Pennsylvania steam turbine, one of their engines right there. Plastic freight cars. Yes, they were, but they were cool. There's a caboose, a hopper, a crane car, and the operating horse car and corral. The Madison Pullman cars. Now, those are beautiful looking altogether. I love the Madison cars. They have a nice Victorian style to them. Steam locomotive water tower. Now, these were pretty neat. When they first made them, Lionel said, "Where's the water?" Well, you push a button, the spout lowers, there's a pump inside that takes the water and puts it in a reservoir under the roof, and it looks like it's actually loading the engine, or the tender with water. You let go, the pump stops, and the spout raises. Pretty neat, actually. Lionel's first diesel. Their most successful was the F3 for the New York Central and the Santa Fe. Lionel's milk car. This thing was fun, but also erratic at the same time. It was fun, though, to play with, because you push a button and he unloads the milk cans onto the platform. Although sometimes they got stuck. A line of electrics. That was some of the first trains they made. They made electric locomotives because diesels were not quite implemented yet, or they had not come out yet. So they made electric trains for the most part with their template line, which is what that is. And they made the GG1, which is really quite something. Lionel's 50th year. This was dubbed the 50th anniversary set. And I agree. I can see that. Lionel's 1940s streamliners. This was during the golden age of streamlining. Everything looked cool and ran just fine. This is how American trains are supposed to look. Siemens, take a hint. Lionel's diesels. Oh, they pulled a Thomas the Tank Engine with that one. It's a what-o? A diesel, I think. You had a cough in your smoke box. It's your fault the diesel came. I couldn't resist. Bill and Ben. Yeah, They made a lot of diesels over the years, and they're still making them today. Although I have not seen a 2343 in ages. The Lionelville Station. Well, you have to have a station for your passengers. Cattle cars. Pumping oil. These both have to do with Texas in a way. The Fort Worth Dockyards used to have a railroad spur for trains to come out of the livestock, kind of like this. And, well, we're an oil state, so we have oil wells. There you go. Your hand on the throttle. They made a variety of transformers over the years, but their best one has been the 4 and 3 ZW. You can run 3 to 4 trains at once with these babies. Hobos, cops, and pop-ups. So this right here is where the car would come and the platform would knock one person off, put the other on. It could be a cop and a hobo. There were these cars right here where the horses' heads would come in and out. And then there's that one where they run around, and there's one where the characters bob up and down. Cop and a hobo, 2 cowboys, giraffes, elephants, stuff like that. Plastic toy trains. Yeah, they were getting into plastic. This was probably part of the MPC era. Action Industries. Well, we got the barrel loader right there and the unloading car. Then you have the culvert loader and the culvert unloading station. Lionel's 1800s era trains. Well, they haven't made a lot over the years. They made a variety of American types, including the General, the Best Friend of Charleston, the Sturbridge Lion, and the John Bull, and that's it. Oh, and the Lincoln Funeral Train and the Golden Spike set. The Space Age. Well, when Sputnik was launched, people wanted to play with kids wanted to play with space toys and stuff like that, so Lionel made a spacecraft and a rocket like that and various other things too. I'm tired, guys. I know I sound off. The Lionel Lines Railroads. Well, there's the Phantom, some of their diesels, and a steam engine. Yep, Lionel Lines was the Lionel Railroad. Lionel's construction sets. More non-train items, but still pretty cool. Got a couple of bridges and a Ferris wheel. Very nice. The catalog layout. Well, you gotta have that. Two small stations, 2 large layouts. How about that? Pretty neat. '60s survival with General Mills. General Mills bought them out and took over Lionel for a while. Lionel's plastic Rico station. Yeah, it lasted for a fair amount of time, but eventually it wore off. Lionel's plastic building kits. They might be plastic, but they look amazing. Bargain action. Pretty cool. If you can't afford it, get out a bargain. Lionel HO scale. They tried making HO, but they were kind of late, but they made some cool things like that switcher and the daylight. Their HO trains, like I said today, are awful. The ice business. The Iceman delivers or puts the ice cubes in the reefer for its trip down the line. Lionel's roadside diners. They made quite a few of those over the years too. The Reawakening with Richard Kuhn. So Richard Kuhn owned Lionel trains for a long time, who became a millionaire in the shopping mall industry. Lion Master locomotives. These were better equipped, and had new sounds and technology put into them. They still make them today, but they also have Legacy and Vision Line trains. The Hudson Legends. They made quite a few Hudsons over the years, and they brought it back again recently in their Vision Line. The scale Lionel locomotives. They made quite a few of those over the years. There is a Santa Fe Articulated. There is a Challenger. And I think that is a Northern. The Shea. One of the best engines ever built. Pretty cool, huh, guys? Lionel's Classics. Well, we have the N1000 and the Baby Blue Comet there. Those are classics. Baby Blue Comet. Lionel's Ride Inside. Or Take a Ride Inside. Sorry, guys. So Lionel came out with something called Railscope, which basically was a locomotive that had a camera inside. And you could get a TV, and you could film your layout in black and white. They made a G-gauge steam engine, an O-gauge GP9, and some Alco FAs here. But sadly, it was not successful and was a slow seller, so not a whole lot were produced. They were going to try to make a Union Pacific version of this, but it did not work out. But nice try, Lionel. Modern passenger cars. Well, modern and old-fashioned looking. Scale freight cars. These actually look pretty nice. I'm impressed. Men at work. Well, you had to work to maintain a railroad, so they had different jobs that they can do with the accessories to make it look more awesome and realistic. Modern intermodal. Indeed. Pretty cool. Lionel's train dispatchers. Now you have to dispatch the trains somehow. The switch tower is one of the best ones because the guy would come out, run down the stairs, give the orders, and go back inside. That one right there. This one I think you could communicate with too. There's the bridge control tower. Speeders and burros. Motorized accessories are pretty fun to play with. There's a speeder, a couple of them. That's a ballast tampering car, a burro crane, and a rotary snowplow. Pretty neat. Bridges and road crossings. Well, cross the river, cross the street. Gotta tell folks you're coming down the tracks. Let there be light. Indeed. Light up the layout at night. It looks pretty cool. I've always thought that was pretty neat to have. A modern Lionel layout. Now, this is an example of what they look like. Although between you and me, guys, the old ones looked better. A Lionel Visitors Center layout. Or the Lionel Visitor Center layout. So the Visitor Center was in Chesterfield, Michigan. I don't think it's there anymore, and this is what the layout looked like. Luckily, the layout has been saved and is now in a museum. Lionel Large Scale. They tried making G-gauge trains, and, well, they were here and there. They made a diesel and this steam engine and a few others as well, and they've kind of brought it back, and it's fair. The New Millennium. There's somebody we all know. Thomas the Tank Engine. Trainmaster Command Control, or TMCC, was a new thing that Lionel came out with for remote control operations on your layout. All the bells and whistles. Indeed, they had them. There's a couple of diesels that have some of the awesome sound effects. Legacy. Get the feel of it. This is currently what you can run Lionel trains with, but also you can run it with Bluetooth on your phone. Fast Track. This is the new way Lionel's building layouts, is with Fast Track. Raises the road bit up, and maybe quiets the noise level a little bit. Lionel's Factory and Store. Pretty cool. Carnival ride, or time. Yeah, quite a few rides to choose from there. I haven't been to a carnival in ages, guys. Lionel's gas turbine. This has been made in HO and O gauge by Lionel. It's pretty O gauge and HO gauge by Lionel. It's pretty cool. These things were big and loud and powerful too back in their day. Thomas and Friends. Well, I've only made Thomas, Percy, and a few other characters. I can't remember all of them. The Real Railroads. This might be the final chapter in the book. Lionel's Real Railroads. And they've made quite a few over the years. Santa Fe Railway. Santa Fe all the way. New York Central. One of the best ones we had. The Pennsylvania Railroad. Truly a classic. The Union Pacific Railroad. Still terrific. On the old Milwaukee Road. One of my favorites. The New Haven Railroad. The Burlington Northern Railroad. Both wonderful. The Rio Grande Railroad. I like the PA paint scheme they had. Just beautiful. Amtrak. They are the first only company to make the Acela in O gauge so far. Lionel's Modern Movie Star Trains. Well, I think that's the train. Oh, Polar Express and the Hogwarts Express. I recognize them. There's the index. This wasn't in frame. I'm sorry, guys. There's some more books you can get. There's the back of it. And there you have it. This was a bit rushed, guys. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, at the time this is being made, my office chair I had finally gave out and fell apart, and I'm using a temporary chair that's made of wood. It's not very comfortable, but I'll be getting a new one here pretty soon. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. So until next time, please be safe around trains. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and God bless y'all. See you guys next time.